everybody, it's Dr. Jason Day, and yes, we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite subject today, which is poop and digestive challenges. You know what? We set out on a mission over a decade ago to truly care for kids and families. And if we're going to care for kids and families, we actually have to care about what they're facing. And time again, especially with new parents, especially with our little ones, digestive challenges, gut issues keep coming up and coming up and coming up again. What am I talking about? Colic, constipation, reflux. And you know what? If we're being honest, it's not just our kids. It's not just our babies. It's our adults too. We're not pooping as much as we should. And I know it's a topic that most people don't like to talk about, but it is in many cases like the foundation of our health. If we're not going to the bathroom regularly, it affects our day, it affects our sleep, it affects how we feel. And you know what? Basically, when it comes to our little babies, they do three things. They eat, they poop, and they sleep. And if they're not pooping, it doesn't just affect a third of their life, a third of their health. It affects everybody's life. It affects their health as a whole. Because if you have a bloated, constipated kid that's not going, how well are you sleeping tonight, Mom? How well are you feeling about their health? Gut health is so much more than just digestive issues. It's where our immune system is. Over 70% of our immune system resides in our gut. So we're not just talking about a bathroom issue. We're talking about a health issue. And you know what? There could not be a hotter topic in the world of wellness today. I'm not just talking about chiropractic. Everybody has an opinion on a gut. And we talk about this gut-brain connection, this gut-brain health. And I get it. I understand what they're trying to say, but they're missing the point. In fact, they're reversing the point. The brain is what dictates gut health. The brain is in constant communication. Direct lines of communication through the vagus nerve and other nerves is telling the gut how to work. And actually, the latest, most cutting-edge research actually said there's almost like a cell phone tower in the brain where your brain is actually influencing the activity of flora, which is not necessarily a part of you. That's the healthy bacteria in your gut. It's like a radio communication. Something stimulates the brain. It's actually communicating to that gut in ways we don't even understand or comprehend yet. It is a brain-gut connection. So we're going to be talking about that today. And I think on some level, we all instinctively know that. But more often than not, we see parents just chasing down these symptoms, chasing down their diet, removing this from their diet, desperately trying to radically change their child's health, missing the very foundation. What do I mean by that? There's so many different pieces to this puzzle. Of course your nutrition plays a role. They can't slam a block of cheese every single day and expect to be going to the bathroom regularly. Yes, there's toxins in our environment, toxins in our diet. There's things that we can remove from there that of course we can change. Of course you can take supplements and fiber, or God forbid, Miralax. Again, not my opinion, but the FDA has not even approved that for kids, but it's the #1 prescribed medication for pediatric constipation. We've never really tested the safety and efficacy of using these drugs, but let's say it's the world's safest drug. It's not. But if it is the safest drug, are we actually addressing the issue? No, we're just basically sticking a stick of dynamite in there to get some things moving. And I understand, it's not a judgment statement. We have to get things moving in there, but why aren't we answering the question, why? So yes, there's pieces of this puzzle. Physical activity for some people, our diet, our nutrition, our water consumption, supplementation. But those puzzle pieces are sitting on top of a foundation that is the brain, the neurology. And we all know this. We've experienced this. When our brain is not happy, when our brain is stressed, our gut function takes a back burner. But there's a specific reason for that. It's called the sympathetic response, the fight or flight response. And I'll give you a real life scenario because it actually happened to me. I had a front row seat to this stressful environment. It was a couple years back, and I have 5 boys. It's never quiet in my house. And one night, it was quiet because it's midnight. So that's about the only time it's quiet in my house. But I was just drifting off to sleep, and I thought I heard some footsteps. No big deal. My kids go to the bathroom. They need that water because they're always dying of thirst when they're going to sleep, so I thought nothing of it. But you can imagine my radar of stress was turned up a little bit there. And about 5 minutes later, I'm drifting off to sleep again, and I hear a door shut. I'm like, are you kidding me? But you know, the air conditioner just kicked on, so maybe the door had suctioned itself. But again, my radar had been turned up. About 20 minutes later, I'm drifting off into sleep. We're already at like 12:30, and I hear the glass break downstairs. Yeah, you're probably thinking what I'm thinking. Of course, without a doubt, it's an axe-wielding serial killer coming to hack up my family. So my brain, my neurology, my body was ready to fight for the life and future of my family. Immediately, my muscles tightened, my heart rate went through the roof, the hormones are surging, but guess how my gut felt? Not all hunky-dory, it sank. It completely just went, ugh. But yeah, that gigantic crash downstairs, wasn't an axe-wielding serial killer. It was actually my dog. It pulled a plate off the counter, perfectly clean. But in my mind, my neurology, my brain had gone into this full fight or flight mode, affecting my body and especially my gut. You know, you get that gut feeling when you get that bad phone call, or you lose a job, or that bill that's unexpected. Of course, our stress levels affect our gut. But could you imagine if for some reason a child or a kid's nervous system or brain was stressed out from the beginning? I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this, the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is a direct connection between the brain all the way to the heart, and it branches a billion different ways to the gut. It's the ultimate brake pedal for this fight or flight gas pedal. But what happens when we rev this Ferrari brain and give ourselves bicycle brakes? Why on earth would a child's vagus nerve or brain be irritated? Well, let's think about it. Where does the vagus nerve originate? In the brain. And it actually exits that tiny little hall called the foramen magnum and goes all the way down. They call it the great wandering nerve down to the gut. But if you put a giant set of hands from an OB on a tiny little delicate brain and brainstem when a baby's being born and they're pulling and pulling and pulling, yes, we can stress out that area. But if your kids are anything like my kids, yeah, they still have wipeouts. There's physical stressors that can immediately and catastrophically, and in many cases, if left undetected, permanently disconnect and damage that vagus nerve to a point that not only affects their gut, it affects their life and their health. This gut issue, this constipation is a symptom of something so much more deeper in neurology. So for you parents out there that have hung through this video, that have said, I've tried everything. We've tried all the pieces of the puzzle, but we never laid that foundation. Yes, of course, give your child proper nutrition. Make sure they're drinking plenty of water. Take probiotics. But again, you're missing the point so often, and it's not even a point, it's the foundation of everything. So I know you probably have questions as a parent. We would never guess if this is an irritation in your child's body. We actually measure it. We have a unique state-of-the-art technology that can measure that vagus nerve function, that can measure the tone and tension of that nervous system that controls the gut. We can even look at a thing called the fight or flight response through heart rate variability. If you're a nerd like me, Google that, heart rate variability, and Harvard. Well, they actually just did a recent study on it. When our nervous system kicks into that fight or flight mode, the digestive system takes a back burner. And there's a reason for that. And I'll close with this. If we were a caveman 10,000 years ago and a bear was chasing us and we're running from that bear, yes, there's so many things going on during that fight or flight response, but how important is it that I digest breakfast if I'm about to be breakfast? So that constipation that your child is just battling on a daily basis, and you mom, you're battling it too with your child, it's a symptom. Their neurology is running from a bear. And you can put as much Miralax and water and probiotics and supplements and healthy things into that system, but if it's stressed out, it's never going to reach its full potential. So yes, reach out to us. We'll measure that potential. We'll find out if we can help. We'll lay out a clear plan so that your child can get their life back, but also lay out the finances from the very beginning. No stone is going to be left unturned. And you know what? I've been doing this kind of work for over a decade, serving kids and families and adults. And I will say without a doubt, this digestive thing, even though it's absolutely devastating, it's one of the easiest, fastest turnarounds we see in our practice on a regular basis. And I love when they come in because I know that we're setting this child on a radically different path. But at the end of this, which is really close around that corner, when they start healing and getting better, you have no better advocate, no better marketing tool than a mom that doesn't have to deal with this crap, literally. Last pun of the day, deal with this crap for another day, another week, another month, or God forbid, years. You have answers right in front of you. Let's go get them together.